international. We carnival became national. We had chairman after chairman. Didn't know we would have had a crazy one. So now that creep is gone, let us carry on. Carnival is me, carnival is all are we. So join in the revelry and build back the fantasy. Carnival is back in serious game. So thank God we get it back. Thanks to Jonel and his crew, we get it back. 5 years was long overdue, we get it back. That boy head missing a school.
Oh man, it's the Mad Ice House out with 5 minutes down after the hour of 11 o'clock. And of course it's time for us to get into some Frank and Candid for today. And from what I heard, it's raining cats, dogs, hogs, pigs, cattle, the whole fam is out there right now. And of course, you know, this morning I was saying it was looking pretty good. It was just a little drizzle. Yeah, just a little drizzle, as the old people say. But from what I gathered, the floodgates are open in heaven, so it's coming down. Well, it's that time. We're going to make that break and get you into some Frank and Candid. You can tell Mr. Blake what's happening at your home this morning. If you experience any difficulties, maybe you finally know that there's a leak somewhere. Because with rain like this, you usually find out that there's something happening. So you stick and stay right where you are, man. I'm out of here, guys. Sister Jazzy D, she's up next. She's gonna take you up into the afternoon time. And of course, for you folks who are still wondering what's going on, there's an island-wide outage still going on at the moment, and they are working feverishly to correct the problems, and we'll be keeping you updated as to what's going on if we get anything from Skillet to inform you. In the meantime, please treat your outlets and your electricity in your home as if they are live. You never may know when it might come back, okay? And if you have some appliances that was on when the current went, try your best to either take them from the wall socket or turn them off with other way you can possibly do, so that when it comes back, it does not make any damages to your equipment. All right? You have a good day now. I'm out of here, man. Frank and Candy is up next.
Okay, good morning, folks, and welcome to Frank and Candid. Despite the weather, of course, we stick and stay with you, and we give God thanks, as per usual, for the rains. Let me just play a message from Skillet with respect to the power outage. Just listen carefully.
Good morning, everybody. This is Patrice Harris, Corporate Communications Manager at the St. Kitts Electricity Company Limited. I have an official notice from the company. We regret to inform that there has been an island-wide power outage, which would have been caused by a localized fire at our power plant. At the moment, we are diagnosing the cause of the fire as well as doing a damage assessment. We'll provide an update as it becomes available, but please note that no restoration work has begun.
Okay, thank you. I thought I'd share that with you from Patrice at Skillet. No restoration work has begun. They're still in the initial stages of determining what caused fire and what what amount of damage it has caused. Fortunately, no injuries to any individual, and so we are happy for that. So we have to resign ourselves. Those of us who do not have generators, we depend on the power grid. We have to resign ourselves to being without electricity and all that entails and implies for at least another couple of hours, I presume. Let's hope it doesn't go beyond the day itself. And this reminds us, as we were discussing the other day, for those of you who are listening to the discussion on ZIZ television in the evening, as part of Energy Month, celebrating Energy Month, Skelec, organized by Patrice herself, organized a panel discussion. And one of the issues which took center stage was the question of alternative energy sources. We need to lessen our dependence on fossil fuels and depend more on green energy. The number of countries which are resorting to heavy dependence and use on wind energy, geothermal energy, and of course solar energy. Now, I would imagine the smaller the island is, the smaller the territory is, the country is, the easier it would be for us to switch. But maybe that is not the case. I'll have to listen to the experts in those areas to determine whether size really is a factor in determining the facility with which one makes the transfer. But it's only when the well runs dry that we miss the water. We shouldn't wait until such time. We should recognize and appreciate the item while we have it and make sure we do not waste it. So now that there is no electricity, a lot of us will not be able to do a lot of things, including simple things such as charging our cell phones. So let's give God thanks for what we have been able to enjoy. Let's hope that electricity supply is restored, since this is an island-wide affair, and we can continue with our so-called normal, quote-unquote, lives pro tem for the time being. So bear that in mind. Well, let me remind you that we expect the weather to ease up, and by this afternoon at between 5:36, we want to meet at the Girl Guides. Those of us who are interested in Scrabble, if you want to learn to play the game, or you already play it and you want to get involved in a more structured, organized entity, we're inviting you this evening, 5:30, at the Girl Guides headquarters on Taylor's Range. Alright? Please come if you have any interest at all, and let others know. I'm also to... We have a caller? Okay, let's take him or her. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Noel. I think it's very instructive that I make some comments on what the topic is for this morning. Regrettably so that we are at this unfortunate fire at the power plant. But Mr. Blake, I've been saying for some while back that we need to look at our grid incentives, because having these big hotels and businesses hooking up to the grid, I think the demand is outpacing the supply. That's my humble opinion. I'm not a specialist. But looking at it from a layman's point of view, I believe the demand is outpacing the supply. I spoke to the minister one time concerning that, and they know they have sufficient supply. So, but you got to take in context to Mr. Blake, that housing, people are building private houses, and government is building home to the indigent as well. And all that come into play. Our water supply to some areas are fueled by pumps.
Definitely.
Also. And various other things. I remember that the former minister responsible for infrastructure, my good friend the Honorable Patrice Libert, spoke about the osmosis plant that is sitting down there in Newton Ground. And he was to check on it and verify to find out if it workable or not workable. And regrettably, so I didn't hear anything else about it. And these are things we have to consider. It's a little more expensive, Mr. Blake, but it is becoming more and more necessary because of climate change also. Thank God for the showers that we are receiving. The heavens open and smile at us, and we're so thankful for that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we must look ahead in the future. What are our situation for water supply and electricity supply? Because we are a growing nation and we are growing pretty fast. Irrespective of what people tend to say, the country is moving. And moving along, we need to consider, sit down and figure out what we're going to do for the water supply and for electricity supply. Thank you, Mr. Blake, and God bless you, and thank for your listening to me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that intervention. Certainly, no one can, as you correctly said, no one can gainsay that the country is growing and moving forward. I think the process began way back then, but it took on pace under Dr. Simmons's rule, continued with Dr. Douglas's, and has not abated under Dr. Harris. So that the country is moving and growing is beyond dispute. And of course, along with this growth comes more demands, more demands on the grid, the national electricity grid. As a result, of course, this excess demand could result in outages. I think this is the argument of the caller, and we need to reduce our dependence on the public power supply, bearing in mind that electricity is also used to get water to various households. But I would think that the powers that be, the authorities, will realize that, hey, if the grid can meet only a certain demand, and the demand is growing every year, from various sources, public and private, that you increase the capacity accordingly. I mean, that stands to reason. To me, it is as simple as that. So I would want to believe and give the benefit of the doubt to the relevant authorities that they recognize that the country is growing, and that the supply needs to be commensurate with the growing demand, and that the necessary infrastructure would be installed to accommodate that growing demand. That is my view. But of course, no matter what, we will experience, because it's a man-made phenomenon, it's man-controlled. Anything controlled, done by man, is subject to error, prone to mistakes, and will at some point experience some kind of lapse or failure. I hold to that view. And so these things will happen from time to time. Fortunately, unlike in other territories, this does not happen very often, and certainly not to the point where the entire island is affected. I just came from another Caribbean country where power outages are a regular occurrence. Very often the embassy would be out of operation because there is no generator at the embassy as yet. And so whenever the power goes, which happens almost every week, we can't perform for a number of hours, sometimes for the entire day. But in St. Kitts, we do not experience these outages at such regular intervals. So we have to understand that we need to be happy nonetheless that we enjoy electricity supply, water supply, and so on almost non-stop. And whenever there are interruptions, they're normally brief. So we are hoping that Skellig will, as per usual, get going, get moving, and have electricity restored sooner than later. All right. We have another caller. Let's take him.
No, but I have a question.
Yes?
What do you think about how social media is? Something is going around showing what took place. What do you think? Do you think that should have been...
Actually, no, I think that was an internal matter. And that should have been left to the organization, the entity itself. That is my view. Because I think that would generate certain kinds of not just distaste, but certain kinds of beliefs and certain theories which would hinder rather than help. You know, I believe that there are certain developments which should remain within the organization, which should not be leaked to the outside. But how can we avoid that? With at the click of a button, you know, things can go worldwide, for better or for worse. You know, I don't know if we'll ever be able to control that. And speaking about that, you know, Jazzy and ladies and gentlemen listening, for years in the Ministry of Education, we were discussing how to use the ubiquitous cell phones, the laptops and so on to enhance teaching and learning. You know, there's a struggle, of course, to keep cell phones out of the hands of students, to the point where the ministry had to revisit its policy and allow cell phones. Of course, students are not to use them during lessons. But before that, they were not allowed at all. You were liable to have your phone confiscated as a student if you took it to school. That has changed, of course. And now students are allowed to take their phones, only that, as would be expected, they cannot have them ringing and being in use during teaching time. But that is still a challenge. How do we harness the potential power of these gadgets as teaching and learning instruments? You know, that is something that I think has not been pursued and perhaps should be. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Morning, Mr. Blake. How are you?
Morning, sir. I'm okay. Spite
Yeah. In relation to the caller just a while ago, between a rock and a hard place, I want to give the authorities the benefit of the doubt in relation to, okay, yes, we know we have some large hotels. Yes, there's a lot of houses going down. So I want
going up. Houses going up.
that the electricity department, quote unquote, the government is upgrading what is happening at the electricity power plant. That is just my opinion. We don't have any facts to say if they are doing it or they are not doing it. But what I like about even the power outage, at least the electricity department, they are updating you. That is commendable, because sometimes you used to wonder what is really going on. And everybody is just left at wondering what is really going on. So, but I pray and hope that they get the situation. But the thing about it, we have to understand we're in a real world. These things will happen. You can have the best of whatever. There are going to come times when something is going to happen.
Yeah.
So we just have to make the adjustment. And if the thing about it, the issue right now is that the weather. So we have to be considerate of the workmen themselves, because electricity and water, they don't mix. So yes, they are doing whatever they can do, but at the same time, the weather will happen to a certain extent. So we just have to bear with them and pray and hope that by the end of the day, at least they will get it rectified. But at least we know, we have an idea that something went wrong at the power plant, and they are working on it, and the lady was graceful enough to come on the air and give us an update. Hopefully by sometime later this afternoon, she will give us the next update. So we just want to ask for, person just need to bear with these companies when they have these issues. But as I said, I pray and hope that, because there's a lot of houses going down, it's not maybe about it. The government, private houses. So if you are doing that, more than you have no choice but to upgrade your system. But the thing, as you rightly said when you started, we depend on this fossil fuel too much. So we really need to look at other alternatives going forward, because we cannot continue with this fossil fuel all the time in relation to the places expanding, persons are building bigger and bigger houses. So that is something we definitely need to look into. I don't know what's the cost, I don't know the pros and the cons, but it's something we definitely need to look forward to going into the future. Have a good day, Mr. Blake.
Thank you very much. Let's take another caller. Hello? Hello? We have an issue here. Let's take another one then. Hello?
Good morning again, Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to overstate what Jazzy intervened with a while ago. With people sharing what happened at the power plant. It is an unfortunate situation, and that is from inside. Nobody can just walk in a power plant like that and take pictures. Someone who is working there took that picture and share it on social media, and that need an investigation, a thorough investigation. The power plant is part of national security, you know. Mr. Blair, the power grid is part of national security, and people who work there would understand that and be more responsible, because I think that's what Jazzy is thinking about, rightfully so. That people must be more responsible and not sharing unfortunate situation in the country. Things like that should not have escaped the complex. This thing disturbs me so very much because it's a part of national security, and that I am calling on the government to investigate that situation, you know.
Okay.
And have whoever is responsible for sharing that on social media reprimanded.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Thank you very much. We have another caller? Not yet? Okay, there's a couple of responses. One, the caller keeps speaking about houses are going down. I prefer to say houses are going up. We are constructing houses. I prefer the expression houses are going up and going down. And of course, power outages happen everywhere in the world. I was in New York in 2005, I think it was, when there was a massive outage right there in the Bronx. It lasted quite a few hours. It happens everywhere in the most developed of countries. All right, not just in the third world. And the question of the grid being an essential service and part of the national security apparatus is correct. I remember during a particular state of emergency, I was a member of the Defense Force at the time, reserves, and we were sent to guard a number of entities, including the power station, the bulk stations, the fuel bulk stations, and the water supply, the reservoirs, and so on. We were embodied, put in uniforms, given weapons, and sent to guard these facilities. So the guy is correct. They are part of the national security essential services. All right, so we hope that things will return to normal sooner than later. Let's give SCEDEC time to do what it has to do. I also wanted to mention that the Men's Council has organized a public lecture for next Wednesday, the 18th of November. Next Wednesday, the 18th of November, at the Old Girls School on Victoria Road. I'm not even sure I know the name of that short piece of street that runs between Navy Street and Victoria Road, if it has a name. Sorry?
That is also Navy Street. The one on the bottom going across is Seaton Street.
Okay, so Seaton Street runs vertically and horizontally, north and south and east and west. Right, but at the Old Girls School next Wednesday at 7, there will be a public lecture on COVID-19 and men by Dr. Bichara C. Haley. We're inviting all men and women to turn out. Of course, there will be COVID-19 regulations in place, but we invite you to be there in person nonetheless. Let's take this call. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hello. Okay.
Am I hearing you? Good morning.
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Power supply. What happened at the power station can happen anywhere, like you said. But Blake, you might be too young to remember back in 1973 when we experienced the first fuel crisis, and then they talk about other means of getting oil and other means of getting energy started. Back in 1973, you were probably not even born yet.
I was, but I certainly was born.
And every time things turn around and begin to get good, we put that need for alternative energy on the back burner.
Yeah.
When we realized that a Gulf War was coming up recently, there was a talk again about alternative energy, because we know that if there's a war in that part, then there's no oil, the generators can't work, etc., etc., etc. And the things turn around again, and we stopped talking about alternative energy. There was a talk some years ago about putting wind turbines down on Black Rock, area, because down is very windy. I know some of the turbines are very noisy, and I don't know what the studies show in terms of environment impact. But again, that has gone in the back burner. I'm saying we are a people in St. Kitts who are resilient. We can make anything we want to make, except life. And if we are given the chance to create our own solar panels, the materials could come in almost duty-free, because I don't like everything free, but at a lower rate, where people would be encouraged to make their own solar panels, so we wouldn't have to buy them from Amazon or buy them from someplace else, but we just bring in the raw material and make our own solar panels. It will then reduce the dependence on Skelec.
Right.
And Skelec would then be able to use the resources to do other things. Mm-hmm. Right? So I'm saying that we are people who can do these things. Give us the opportunity to bring in solar panels at a lower custom rate. I'm not saying free, because we don't want anything free. We want to be able to pay for what we want, but give us a little leeway and get a local group, not no foreign people who's going to charge us money and then don't do anything. Look at putting in the feasibility of putting in turbines in Black Rock. And so they think that you can feed from Tabernacle or from Mansion, go right down to Dayton. So I'm asking the authorities to just look at it again, and this time put local people in charge of it. Nobody from overseas who will take our money, come and then go. I don't know what's happening to the other energy that we're talking about in Nevis and some other territories. They come up every time there's a political climate change. So I don't mean talking about that there. I'm talking about wind energy and solar panel that we can use to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right. Certainly, we agree that we are capable of building a lot of capacity in terms of resilience, and that we can, in fact, become less dependent on the traditional sources of energy. Do we have a caller? Okay. Right. Yes, we do. Hello. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Carl Brown here.
Talk to me.
Yeah. I was looking at the video that they sent around concerning the power failure of the whole entire country, and I am saying that there must be a internal investigation into this matter, including sabotage, and there must be a serious investigation if those persons who are responsible, if they are fully trained, and if they are supposed to do annual check, whether at every hour, every half an hour, every couple of hours, and that sort of thing. And there need to be some serious changes of workers between there. And then you have to look at where that video had to come from inside. I mean, nobody put down a wire with a camera and take that picture, right? The other thing I want to shift a bit, because this is very concerning, and I continually talk about it from the past government into this government. So it's concerning the grandpa and grandma that they won't send home out the civil service. These are people 60 plus, 70 plus, some of them going into the 80s, and them in the 80s. And we have hundreds and thousands of children between the high school, coming back from university and colleges and home sitting down. Years can't get work while his grandpa and grandmas are holding up jobs where these people can fill and to pay back the different loans institutions which to take these hundreds of thousands of dollars from to go off to school and university and things.
Hey, Cal. Do you really think that these youngsters, so-called youngsters, can replace the grandmas and grandpas, as we refer to them, in every respect? Do you think that it is possible for the economy to continue to survive and thrive if we were to just get up and send these grandmas and grandpas, in your terminology, packing?
See what is happening.
What about
you have people working under these grandpa and grandma for 20-something years and up. These people now have the training and the know-how. So you move those people up the ladder and you could move in these college graduates and university graduates and high school graduates down and continue to move them up the ladder gradually.
Because I want to suggest to you that there are so-called younger persons who are utterly ineffective, who are lethargic, who are lazy, who are irresponsible, and who need to go home far quicker than the so-called grandmas and grandpas. So it's not just a matter of age I am submitting to you. We need to first identify those who are contributing to the development of the particular organization and by extension the country, and consider what to do with them before we just decide, oh, you're 65 or you're 92, go home. And then we leave the person who is 22 and 23 and who is just sitting down on his behind, as it were, and first in line every payday to be at the bank, but really does nothing constructive, nothing useful, nothing meaningful to move the organization forward.
Hear what is happening. Like I said before, you have people working underneath these grandpa and grandma for years who knows the organization, who knows the work in and out, and they are not being used to move into this position while his grandpa and grandma have to go home and enjoy the rest of the years of their retirement. We have people there who is capable, but they won't give the jobs to them. But instead of that, they keep calling back these grandpa and grandmas into work, and these people getting the pension, they're getting the social security, and still getting a state salary. It don't happen. Listen, life starts like this. You are in your mother's womb, you're born. You go daycare, preschool, you go government or private school, you go high school, college, university, you enter the work world. After you enter the work world, there comes a time of retirement. Not work till you're dead. And hindering other people from holding down a job to contribute something to their country or state or nation.
Okay.
So I hope this December coming up, a large amount of these grandpa and grandma will be retired and move other people into jobs to contribute something to their nation.
I hear you.
Gone the boy.
Okay, thank you. I don't agree with that analysis at all, but of course he's entitled to his opinion. Okay, but we'll take another caller. Hello.
Good morning. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Loudly and clearly.
I am the Astafari without locks from Sandy Point.
Very well.
Good. First, I want to commend you because I don't call in much like before, but you're doing a magnificent job. You know what I like about you? I don't believe you're the lieutenant people, but I don't know you that much. You're free to talk your mind, and that's what we need a little more in the country, but with respect.
Okay.
I am very disappointed with the person who sent around the picture with the problems at the electricity department.
Definitely.
I am very, very disappointed. Whatever it is, I see it all day in town. Every minute somebody running to show me. That don't make no sense. Who could do something like that? And let me say this to you, mister. Dwyer Astafan and myself, we don't agree on lots of things, but we will never fall out. You don't agree with Carl Brown. I agree with Carl Brown. A lot of people in the government service need to make way for people who will work. You make a good point a while ago when you made reference to the laziness of youngsters. Brilliant. What about those who went to university and really want to work and fit into certain position when people could go home and get $15,000-$20,000 a month as a relaxing pay for the rest of their life, and give the younger ones who are coming forward a chance to excel and make a big living for themselves? But you know, I'm going off the line now, because in this program, 2 or 3 minutes on the line is enough.
I agree.
You are doing an excellent job. Don't stop. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a ringing endorsement. I don't know if I deserve it, but we'll see how it goes. Let's take another caller. Hello. Hello, caller.
Good morning again, Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Blake, I agree with Carl. 100%.
Very well.
And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to be brief. I'm going to tell you why. If we go back, Mr. Blake, to the former administration under Robert Llewellyn Bratcher, that's what he did. You go university or you graduate from wherever, he make way for the youth. He phase out Mr. France, he phase out F.T. Williams, he phase out different people in the ministry, and those who were brought in, like Mr. Bryan, they are Mr. Payne, etc. They were young people, they weren't old people. But I don't know. I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Blake, I have a problem with, that I might not have mentioned. Some people are too greedy. Even the Prime Minister or the government or cabinet would decide, hey, we still need your services. Say, no, man, it's time for a young person to do it. Find a young person. Or, you know, step up and be a human. You can't be 80 years and 77 and 79 and want to work still. Huh?
Okay.
For political reasons, you know, just political. Now then you want to tell the ordinary person out here when he makes 62, go home and make sure do any his social security. It's ridiculous. Very much so.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Thank you. We have somebody else wishing to express his or her opinion. Carry on.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Blake.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You know, we're talking about alternative energy. We have a lot of methane gas out at Canary, you know, and we are not harnessing it.
Methane gas?
Methane gas, yes.
Yes.
All you have to do is reconfigure those engines up at Needmust to burn propane. I mean, Canary is a short distance from the power plant, you know, and there's a lot of energy there, you know. As I say, we need to harness it and stop buying this heavy fuel. I mean, even if you use propane, it is much cheaper than the heavier fuel.
Yeah, but why Connery? May I ask? Why Connery?
No, I mean,
what do you mean from the dump? From the dump?
Yes, that's why you got fires out there from time to time, you know.
Okay.
That's the gas under the escaping and causing fire.
So that needs to be regulated and harnessed in such a way to provide energy?
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
yeah,
we could switch from the heavy diesel and use propane. Propane is much cheaper than, you know, the diesel or whatever fuel they use. You know, but you know, in the days when we had plenty, we didn't use it, you know, wisely. So I guess this will be another go around.
But do you know this?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. There is supposed to be a national energy policy. Perhaps we need to be advised, informed as to what is contained within that policy and to what extent are its recommendations, to what extent are its contents being followed. But I remember representing the Ministry of Education as part of a committee to construct that policy many years ago. I am not sure to what extent, like I said, its recommendations and so on are being followed. This is why a lot of us are skeptical when we hear a lot of talk about developing policies for various entities and departments. But I do know that there is a national energy policy, and it would be interesting to know what does it say with respect to alternative energies in particular. We have another caller? Okay. Right. I want to remind the listening audience that in as much as a lot of us would agree that when an individual gets to a certain age, he should perhaps bow out gracefully, and this is why we need to talk about preparing for that occasion. When an individual enters the workforce, he's supposed to begin immediately to begin to prepare for his exiting that the workforce, right? Because it certainly will not be in the best interest of the individual or of the workplace or of the individual's family or of society for that matter to just get up and tell an individual, hey, listen, I'm going to have to terminate you as of next week, after he would have worked for 30, 40 years and is now 65 or 70 or whatever. But so whereas we agree that persons should begin to prepare mentally, psychologically, and of course financially for his retirement, his moving out of that particular job position, there are studies which have suggested that when persons are deprived of that quote-unquote comfort zone, where they have become so accustomed, and they're making a contribution, mind you, not that they're just sitting there for the sake of being comfortable. Oh no, they're making a sizable, meaningful contribution. When they're removed from that, especially if it's done too abruptly, it hastens their demise, mental and physical. All right, so that has to be taken into account as well. Let's take this caller. Hello.
Brother Blake, good morning.
To you as well.
Yeah, Brother Blake. Now, if something happened to the powerhouse of the electricity department, of the powerhouse,
yes,
whether a fire or what that got to do on social media? Don't you think that if somebody trying to sabotage and do that because they want to make the people them incompetent that they're doing the work or something or the other?
I really do not know whether it is sabotage. I will not hasten to suggest that it is, but I do believe, as I've said before, that should not have been made. Should not have been sent to the public.
But who take the picture and circle it around? You got to be some workers who was there do that. Because I do not think anybody could go up on the compound. You understand? And India's supposed to be private. I think India got security. So I don't know. Something wrong. People just make a joke and a fun out of everything. Now the whole island out of current now. And you do this thing just because of what? You understand? To bring down somebody? To make somebody look bad?
What I found suspicious is that the individual is on the spot at the time when the event occurred. That is what is suspect. You happen to be on the spot with your camera or with your whatever, with your picture taking device just when this thing happened. But I definitely will not be sitting here and deciding that it is sabotage. Okay?
Yeah, the circling around, I believe that should not be. That should have been more. That's supposed to be private. That's supposed to be on the social media.
We agree with that. I think we agree with that generally. This is, like I said, the question is how do you control the use or misuse of these gadgets? I mean, they're used for, like so many other things that man has invented. They're used for good and they're used for evil. Oh my goodness. That's the problem. What do we do without vehicles, for example? Well, then look at the amount of danger and damage that they represent and cause from time to time. I mean, it's amazing. And it's going to be a challenge, I think, which will not be resolved even when Jesus Christ returns. Only when he returns will these issues be solved. That's my view. Right, well, I was saying that there are studies that suggest that individuals who are removed from their positions, and a lot of us, too quickly, would suffer negatively, right? It becomes deleterious to their physical and mental well-being. A lot of us are aware of persons who would have succumbed soon after they retired. Right? Now, I am not a doctor. I have not done the scientific research, but a lot of people believe that it's because the individual no longer had that connection with that with which he was comfortable, with that with which he was making a contribution, and so to some extent it would have precipitated his slide into nothingness and eventual death. So while we are considering insisting that persons who get to a particular age demit office to make room for the ever-growing rising generation, we have to balance that with some compassion and some recognition that the so-called older people are still valuable. They have made their contribution, and we cannot discard them, dispose of them just like that. All right. So, like everything else, there is a middle ground, and we need to be careful how we tread. Okay. Let me remind today, because I won't do it again until early next week, that there's a lecture, so we wanted to put it in your diaries, put it on your schedules for next week. Next Wednesday, the 18th at 7 o'clock, starting sharp, 7 o'clock sharp, at the Old Girls School, the Anglican Church Hall, I think they call it, a lecture on COVID-19 and men. Just come out and find out what that's about and make your views known. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning, Brother Blake.
To you.
Okay, good. So sad that we have to have this island-wide power outage, but anything that man made is liable to break down. Now, whatever problem they have up there in the power station that supply the island with current, Brother Blake, you know well then, India is what you call a very, very, what should I call it, brother? The right word for it. It's, anyway, the security word for it. Anybody cannot go in there to contaminate India. India is very...
It's a sterile environment.
Right, that's the word, yes, right. That's right, sterile environment. And what I'm saying, whatever picture was taken in there, if it wasn't somebody who intrude and went in there to take the picture has to come from who work in India. And let me tell you something, that's why I like some of the communist countries' policy. Things that's supposed to stay in the within the government, the realms of the government business, and you bring it out. And Kim Jong-un only know if somebody from India, he can find out who do it, and then you go with the black blinders. I like the policy about the communist country. Now, Mr. Bradshaw had some kind of policy like that to himself, even though it was not gazetted. A thing like that, then Mr. Bradshaw will don't reach up and do what he got to do, He will do what he has to do. Because he never to make a joke with government business. One time Mr. Bradshaw went to Public Works to look for somebody in the office, and when he went there, he got there, I think it was 11:35, somewhere around there, yes. And Mr. Bradshaw stayed there for a while, think the person won't come back. And up to lunchtime, the person did not come back. Mr. Bradshaw signed his name in the book what time he reached there and what time he leave. And the next day, Mr. Bradshaw went up there, and Mr. Bradshaw went in, and 12 o'clock, the individual just leave in the office to go lunch. But after that, Mr. Bradshaw put some discipline up there. So took Moon and Sam had to go work the time when they're supposed to enter, and when the time supposed to leave, they do that. Too many bugs, too many bed bugs, and confidential bugs in the government service all over the place. And everybody can't like you. But when you see those who are choking hole in the bag to let the air out, since they're not Marco Polo, don't turn them in, man. Just go work. Go over so. You can't be in here. So you just they come up the hospital and they see you up there having operation or something. The guy with it pan camera, the talk. No, you got to discipline them people here. You cannot be easy with people who doing wrong. WRONG wrong. You got a lot of people vexed with us. Me, Mr. Politics, jam down, rock, and someone else who talk about the wrong things that are going on in the country. And they're saying that we're stepping out of the bound. We're talking about the wrong things. When we were on the street marching, Brother Blake, when we were calling you for radio to move the wrong and put in the right, where were they? They never even use the toughest letters in the alphabet. A, B. Much less to go up on the street and march to fight down wrong and put in righteousness. Now they come talking because they're in the air conditioned office, but we're stepping out of bound. To be out about, I better know your place. Brother Blake, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. I think that might very well be the last call, except you have another one online.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's take him. Hello.
Mr. Blake, good day again.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to second what Mr. Jupan said about the way how you operate the show.
Thank you.
And the next thing in relation to what Carl Brown, I want to agree with Carl Brown to a certain extent, based on your opinion to the whole issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because my thing is that at what age you're supposed to retire? At how much more longer government really supposed to keep you on? And bearing in mind that the thing about it, don't get me wrong, Mr. Blake, because there are some persons, they want position, but they don't want to take on the responsibility of the position.
Right.
My thing is that if you are capable and you are qualified, you should understudy that someone who is there. But what do you find a lot happen is that person wait until they reach a certain stage in their age, a certain age group, a certain stage in their life, and then they want to build this big house. Naturally, it's going to take some time for you to even think about paying off. So then you're asking for extension, and that itself creates a serious problem, because according to who you are, we are in the federation, and it goes from government to government. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate that you find that some persons are there until they're 80, but some persons, as soon as you reach 60, you're getting letters already.
55.
Hearing you. So then you're left to wonder, well, this should be across the board. So everybody know by 62 that this is your time. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Blake. Some persons, because of the expertise and the knowledge that they have, all you need is somebody to understudy them, somebody who have the right work ethics, because that is where a lot of problem is coming in. Some persons don't have, to ask them to work a little extra, they grumble. So you need somebody with the right attitude, but at the same time, because the reality is that there's a lot of persons, young persons, who are out there who looking for a job and they cannot get a job.
Finish up now, yeah.
And these persons, as was rightly said, they are getting a pay, they're getting full salary, they're getting pension, they're getting social security. So that itself bleed the ports of the bank of the country.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay? Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much. I hate to have to cut people off, but the limits of time demand it. There are one or two more responses I wanted to make. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of Frank and Candid today, Thursday. Until we meet again, do the right thing. Blessings.
Did you sell? You know it's a vibe, brand new life is a promise. Steady striving for more, no more limitations. Passionate communication, reaching every heart to the generations. Innovation for the community, about to bring unity. It's a movement with a new source of energy. It's so fresh, this is what freedom feels like. It's the best, I hope the world to take you higher. We're better together.
Music, math, and folklore. Experience the vibrancy of Sugar Man.